the look ahead was 4.5. Let's say we close 3, that it does not go to 2.5. That's already a big move. And how do we get here? Well, the professionals like the Bears. I mean, that's where we're at right now. It probably was a little bit too high. And as we're getting closer and closer, I understand where they're coming from. The total is dropping. It's been 44 all week. And now I'm seeing 43.5s, 43s pop. BetMGM still has 44, but I would expect that to continue to fall. That could be Jefferson. That could be Monday Night Football trends. A lot of public money. People see all the unders have been hitting all year. Only one over on the entire season, 12-1. So the public might actually come in on the under in this spot. So I think that's pretty notable here. One thing these two teams have in common is they were god-awful defenses in the first month, and they are legit right now, both of them. The Bears, it was health, and I would think on the Vikings side, it's been more about getting used to the scheme. But both teams have figured things out. The Bears are great at stopping the run, and then the Vikings, we know that they're going to keep sending pressure, but they've been better in multiple facets. So the under makes sense. I understand why people are betting that side. I don't have a play on the total. If I'm doing something with the side, I'll explain. I'm more interested in props, but if I was doing something with the side, Aaron, as long as we're still at 3, I would take the Bears and the points.
Yeah, I like the Bears and the under. You mentioned the public will be on the under. Hey, that'll probably be me. Bears offensively, their run game ranks 9th in the league DVOA, but it's an interesting matchup because you talked about the Vikings defense under Brian Flores has really gotten a lot better. So they're also 9th in total defensive DVOA. So I think this is going to be more of a props game for me. Maybe, the Bears defense 11th in defensive DVOA against the run. So maybe some unders prop wise there.
Right now, it's balanced. The majority of the work is going to Hawkinson, and he's finding Addison and some of the other pieces that they have. So, yeah, maybe there's a bit of an edge in the point spread. I do think it moves if Jefferson is in, but I'm going with the assumption that he's out in this one. And I don't think it's really going to change things all that much. As far as what I like in this game, though, the Bears-Vikings game in week 6 that I just referenced, that was the game when Fields got hurt and then he missed a month. Fields was getting it done on the ground at Soldier Field. He had 8 rushes for 46 yards. He played just over half the game. Now we're putting Fields on the turf, right? And now you expect to get him the full game going in. 51.5 rushing yards, 15.5 for the longest rush. I can see Fields having a big game. So the Vikings are going to blitz. Any sign of trouble,
Yeah.
we've all seen it a million times. What does Fields do? He's going to be breaking for some sort of daylight on that turf, and he's going to take off. So I can certainly see that happening once again. It happened earlier in the year, and anybody that knows that Soldier Field turf, it is slow, that it's long grass, and they do that intentionally. And we've seen Fields just snap in some of these games on the turf, and I expect it to be a big running game for him. Last week, Fields' first game back after missing a month with a thumb injury, 14 designed runs. He ran for over 100 yards, 18 rushes. I expect to see much of the same this week. And remember that Lions game, they needed the comeback with 2 touchdown drives at the very end to win that one. The Bears should have won that game. I mean, there's no reason that we don't see a repeat game plan-wise from Luke Getsy.
When you're talking about Khalil Herbert, I think he goes under, like, what am I saying here? 68 and a half rushing receiving yards, something to that effect. I'd go under there too. Like, I think the lion's share of the rushing will probably be because Justin Fields is taking off, whether they're designed runs or scrambles, whatever the case may be. Just because, I am backing the Vikings in this one. And I think given game script, it's probably going to be something where they want to pass the ball a good bit more. And if it's just not there, then Fields is taking off. Like, I don't necessarily see the ground game being something that's so effective. Not to mention when you look at the specific matchup, I mean, the Vikings seem to be getting better at limiting runs We know they still blitz a good bit. The pass defense is certainly getting a good bit better. Like now, this is a respectable unit, kind of all the way around, like kind of a well-rounded group. So it's something where if there is a panic, it's not going to be like the Khalil Herbert show or anything like that. Like it's probably going to be Justin Fields kind of staying on the ground and trying to make something out of nothing. He doesn't really do it through the air all that often. So, Joe, to me, like if there are rushing props to back, it would probably involve Fields, and certainly the public agrees with that. Over 52.5 rushing yards in BetMGM, minus 120 there. 99% of the money is on the over. I mean, this feels like vintage Fields to me, right? The Panthers have fired head coach Frank Reich. Didn't even complete a full season. And per Ian Rappaport, he is one and done. Special teams coordinator Chris Tabor is the interim coach addressing the team now. Jim Caldwell moves to special advisor, working with the offense. Like, you don't even get to complete a full season. I suppose we saw the writing on the wall here, but good night. That quick, huh?
Yeah, they're fixed now. It was all Frank Reich, right? Had nothing to do with the talent level on that team. Picking the wrong quarterback that you forced, David Tepper. So I guess those reports were accurate yesterday that he walked out of the locker room and he was screaming all sorts of obscenities right after he walked out. You have to assume that that's true. So when did that go down? That goes down this morning, I guess. Okay. Special teams coordinator for a long time in the league, Chris Tabor. He's taking over. Yeah, good luck. I don't know. Frank Reich, yeah, like for a long time, I think it was overstated about how good of an offensive mind he was due to some of the connections he had around the league and with media and all that. Like a lot of media members like him. But like, ball don't lie, right? Like we've seen what Frank Reich is over the last couple of years. So yeah, he's not what people thought he was. But guess what? Nobody's stepping in with this situation with that quarterback right now with nothing around him, and they're not going to start to win games. It's just not going to happen. So if he thinks it's going to light a fire, fine. He was going to fire him at the end of the season anyways. I don't think it really matters, right? It's just an embarrassing day for Frank Reich.
Yeah, exactly. And what do they do moving forward? It'll be interesting because you've got to try to get some type of support for Bryce Young. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Jags and Trevor Lawrence first season. Just put in a bad position to succeed. Maybe you can get someone who can help develop him a little bit better, but they're just in a bad position all the way around. And I guess they're looking around the league and saying, oh, they fired this coordinator. This guy got fired. Maybe we'll get a boost too. I mean, they have nothing to lose at this point.
What we probably are going to remember under Frank Reich's watch, this could go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history, like at least recent memory, right? You got the quarterback wrong. You traded away a legit number one receiver, and you were awful the following year. Maybe you end up with the worst record in the NFL, and somebody else gets that pick. Like, look at what happened. Look at how they impacted the Texans. We'll see how they impact the Bears moving forward. Just these moves here at the top of the draft, the domino effect that you see across the league. A guy lost his job today because they took the wrong quarterback. And it sounded like Frank Reich wanted Stroud, right? That was all the reports that he wanted Stroud, and then the owner stepped in and he wanted Bryce Young. Right. Like, no, he's our point guard. He's going to be the point guard. That's exactly what we need right now. Well, point guard of what? You don't have anybody to dish the ball to. That's the problem.
But like, I don't think Robert Kraft's firing Bill Belichick now. And I think Robert Kraft, people close to him have told me he's reached a point where he understands just the depth that they're in. So a loss is good. I mean, if a loss gets me, Caleb Williams or Drake May, let's go, bring it on. Like it is what it is. The season is an abject failure. And so what would a 14-13 win over the Giants, like what would that matter? 16-13, like who cares? It's still a football disaster. Nobody wants to watch it. Our product's garbage. Our brand is what it is right now, and we've got to do a holistic rebuild. And the more people tell you that Mike Vrabel, there's nothing to see there in Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's just you want Mike Vrabel, boy. You better give us a second round pick and something else. Like I don't think he's long for Tennessee, and I do think Robert Kraft would like to bring Mike Vrabel back to Foxborough.